presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Arizona.
Hey, Sunday by the Bay brings us to the conclusion of this long road trip. Welcome to Diamondbacks baseball. It's brought to you by Sanderson Ford. D-backs 5-4 on this trip. A chance today to finish with a winning record through St. Louis, Chicago, and San Francisco. It's D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona. Good afternoon from AT&T Park and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume and Bob Brenly along the way. The finale in San Francisco. A chance for the Diamondbacks to win this series and secure a winning record on this long road trip. Torey Lovullo's rotating off days today means an off day for A.J. Pollock. And Bob, that means a start in center field for the former Giant Gregor Blanco.
Yeah, you know the fans here in San Francisco are looking forward to that. He was a very popular player in his 649 games here for the Giants. A .259 hitter, solid offensive player, probably better known for some of his tremendous defensive plays, including a tremendous catch to save Matt Cain's perfect game back in 2012.
Your pitching matchup today, Patrick Corbin, the left-hander, goes for the Diamondbacks, and for the Giants, it's the Shark, Jeff Samardzija. His first two starts this year were against the D-backs, and Bobby lost both times.
Yeah, pitched 12 total innings in those two starts, gave up 13 hits and 9 runs. He just broke a streak of 16 straight games walking 0 or 1 batter. He's walked 2 in each of his last 2 starts.
D-backs looking for a series win before we head back home to Chase Field. First pitch is coming up on Fox Sports Arizona.
Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by Gila River Casinos. The card by Gila River Casinos earns you rewards 10 times faster than ever before. Sign up today at any Gila River hotels and casinos location. By Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. By Jack in a Box and the Jumbo Jack, a home run for your mouth. By Santan Ford. We are Santan Ford. And by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. To you by your Valley Honda dealers, where you get more standard features for less money. By Gigablast, internet from Cox. Get ready for the gig life. By Oregano's, step up to the plate for a guaranteed home run. At Oregano's, your neighborhood pizza joint, location statewide. By Phoenix Raceway, see Dale Jr.'s final West Coast race during the Can-Am 500 NASCAR semifinal at Phoenix Raceway November 10th through the 12th. Tickets at phoenixraceway.com. And by State Farm. Here to make life go right. Talk to an agent today or call 1-800-STATE-FARM. Diamondbacks lead the season series versus the Giants 5-4, but they've won just twice in 5 games this year here at AT&T Park. Cool and breezy. Steve Berthume, Bob Brenly, and Jody Jackson with you. Let's take a look at Torey Lovullo's starting lineup. It's presented by your Valley Chevy dealers. David Peralta will lead it off once again out in left field. Gregor Blanco, as we mentioned in the open, will be out in center field. Jake Lamb at third base. Paul Goldschmidt over at first. J.D. Martinez in right field. Daniel Descalso back in the lineup at second base today. Ketel Marte at short.
Chris Herman doing the catching for lefty Patrick Corbin.
Your Ram truck starter for the Giants, the right-hander Jeff Samardzija, his second season in San Francisco. Only 6-11, a 4.77 ERA, but he's won his last 2 starts.
He's a very aggressive pitcher, likes to challenge opposing hitters. A tailing, sinking fastball, an occasional cutter. His splitter is probably his best out pitch. He will mix in an occasional breaking ball.
We are set to go on a sunny Sunday by the bay. Not a cloud in the sky overhead. Very pleasant here at the ballpark. David Peralta leads it off in the series and road trip finale from San Francisco. Ball 1. Peralta hitting .304 this year. He's got 10 home runs. 4 hits in the series, including a pair of doubles. 3 hits in the game last night. Boy, it's a nice day here. Bright sunshine, mid-60s temperatures. Gentle breeze blowing, well, swirling really, we found out last night. Right now going across the outfield from right to left. There's a strike, and it's 2-1.
I mentioned the 16 straight games walking 1 batter or no batters for Jeff Samardzija. This is a guy that's had some command issues over the course of his career. He can lose the strike zone. Walked 2 in each of his last 2 starts after that 16-game stretch. Diamondbacks have been working some real solid at bats in this series. Hopefully do the same against the Shark today.
Samardzija last year had a big exaggerated hip turn toward third base with his delivery. But as you'll notice this year, he's done away with that big hip turn, more direct to the plate. Says it really helps get some drop on his splitter and some more movement on that slider.
He kind of adopted the Johnny Cueto windup, if you will. That big pivot, almost turned facing center field before delivering the ball to home plate. Has really simplified things this year.
Peralta battling here. David doubled and scored to lead off the ball game last night. Gregor Blanco, the former Giant, on deck. Good at bat by Peralta, works the leadoff walk. Let's look at the Giants defense. That's presented by Nationwide Vision Centers.
Last night's hero Jarrett Parker will be out in left field. Borges Hernandez in center field this afternoon. Hunter Pence over in right. It'll be Ryder Jones and Kelby Tomlinson on the left side of the infield, with Miguel Gomez and Buster Posey on the right side. Nick Hundley doing the catching for right-hander Jeff Samardzija, and Gregor Blanco getting a real nice round of applause from the Giants fans.
Blanco batting in the 2-hole. 5 seasons in San Francisco and a very important contributor on 2 World Series championship teams.
That was a good fit here in San Francisco for Gregor Blanco because Angel Pagan was hurt all the time. Hunter Pence spent a lot of time on the disabled list, and Blanco got a lot more playing time, I think, than anybody anticipated.
Yeah, he played in nearly 650 games over the last 5 years with the Giants. Maybe the perfect and ultimate 4th outfield type. Bruce Bochy said that all the time. He could play all 3 positions, including, most importantly, center. And he could hit in any position in the lineup. So when he did put Blanco in there, Bochy didn't have to move all guys around. He could bat him leadoff. He could bat him 5th, 8th. It didn't matter.
Left-handed bat, a guy that runs real well. Valuable member of those championship Giants teams.
Missed upstairs, and it's 2-1 on Blanco. Gregor Blanco has hit safely in each of his last 6 starts. And he might have played last night against the right-hander Chris Stratton, but I think that they like this Blanco-Samardzija matchup a little better. And so Blanco is in there today. Pollock's off day comes. Swing and a miss at the fastball, and it's 2-2. Samardzija throwing his sinker more often this year than he has in recent seasons. He's got the 2 fastballs, as Bob mentioned. They are both averaging 94 miles an hour this year. Jake Lamb on deck.
Yeah, Samardzija was a guy the Cubs initially couldn't quite figure out what to do with him. A lot like Archie Bradley. Should he be a starter? Should he be a closer? Should he be a middle reliever? Well, I think he's in the right spot now. This guy's a horse. He eats up a lot of innings. Can throw a lot of pitches to get through a ball game occasionally.
Yeah, Samardzija, 32 starts. He pitched just over 200 innings with the Giants last season, so he's worked at least 200 each of the last 4 years. He really does eat up innings. Big guy out there, 6'5", 225.
He really didn't become a full-time starter till the 2012 season. Before that, he was a spot starter, but spent most of his time in the bullpen.
Peralta takes off on the 3-2 to Blanco. Posey backhands it, and they're able to move Peralta along. Time now, BB, for your Valley Honda dealers. Key to the game.
Well, we know Jeff Samardzija's nickname is the Shark, so don't be chum.
Wow. I see what you really wove a tapestry there.
Very aquatic, yeah. You know, we're here on the bay. Probably a few sharks out there in McCovey Cove right now. But the one we're worried about is on the mound.
Beautiful day along the cove. Whole bunch of boats out there right now. Jake Lamb. Jake 0 for 6 with a walk in the series. He's been hit by pitches twice. 265 and 23 home runs. Got an issue down to the right field corner. That gets taken care of. Drop that slow breaking ball in there. That's something that Samardzija is doing much more of this year. He's getting away from all the cut fastballs he used to throw, mixing in more sliders, more curveballs. And that split finger pitch has been a very effective pitch for him this year. Trying to mix things up a bit. Kelby Tomlinson, the shortstop, keeps sneaking in behind David Peralta. Trying to keep Peralta where he is at second. Tomlinson right in his back pocket. He'll sneak in there and then drop back once Samardzija comes set. Fastball up, and it's 1-2. Jake Lamb on this road trip 5 for 24. 5 runs batted in. All those RBIs came in the series at Wrigley Field. Goldie on deck. Jake hits it hard to first. Posey is there. Peralta in at third, 2 outs. Here's Goldie. 4 hits, 3 runs batted in the series. Having an enormous road trip. He's hitting just under 440 on the trip. His numbers for the season, 324 and 25 home runs. D-backs got 2 up on the board in the first inning last night. 2 down. Peralta at third here today. Breaking balls in there for strike 1.
The ball should carry a little better here at AT&T Park. Bright sunlit day here. Those night games, once that marine layer sets in about the 3rd inning of the ball game, it's tough to shoot them out of here with a cannon.
Wind has picked up now, blowing out a little bit more. Beautiful day here in San Francisco. Another big crowd on hand. More than 39,000 last night. Samardzija already at 20 pitches in the first. Able to check his swing, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Jeff Samardzija beat the Oakland A's in his previous start last Tuesday. Went 8 innings in that start, 118 pitches. Swing and a miss on a fastball, and it's 2-2. Samardzija against Oakland last week, only 3 earned runs allowed, 6 hits in 8 innings. Prior to that, he beat the Pirates here at AT&T Park, 1 run in 7 innings. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Peralta the runner at third. Goldie hits it toward the left field corner, and that's going to get to the wall. Peralta is home. Paul Goldschmidt at it again. A 2-out RBI double, his 25th of the year.
Goldie with another long at bat gives that opposing pitcher a chance to make multiple mistakes in the at bat, and Samardzija does make a mistake. That pitch up above belt level, and Goldie rips it down into that left field corner, drive home the first run of the game.
Well, can you imagine the feeling on the other side of the dugout when they go, oh geez, that's guy again?
Again?
I mean, he's killing him.
Why are we pitching to him?
It's a good question. Why are they? Well, might be the answer because J.D. Martinez is behind him, and J.D.'s had an effective series here. 3 hits last night. And a double and a triple drove in a run. There's a strike. Martinez with the Tigers and the Diamondbacks, 289, 22 homers. 6 of those home runs have come with the D-backs in his first 14 games. This is popped up third base side. Ryder Jones fighting the bright sunshine here. Won't take anything for granted on those pop-ups on a sunny day like this. Goldie at it again. D-backs have the early lead. For your Ram truck starter for the Diamondbacks, the lefty Patrick Corbin. Patrick 8-10 this year, a 4.77 ERA. He was hit hard in his previous start. That was last Tuesday in Chicago. He lasted only 3 innings.
In his last 5 day game starts, he's 3-1 with an ERA of 2.9. Bright sunny day here in San Francisco. Hopefully that bodes well for Patrick and the D-backs.
Giants lineup presented by your Valley Chevy dealers.
Gorkys Hernandez leading it off. He'll be the center fielder today. Kelby Tomlinson at shortstop. Buster Posey over at first base. Hunter Pence in right field. Nick Hundley doing the catching. Miguel Gomez at second base. Jarrett Parker out in left field with Ryder Jones at third, and Jeff Samardzija, the righty, on the mound.
Gorkys Hernandez leads it off for the Giants. Trying to bunt his way on. That's fouled back over the screen. Hernandez 0 for 4 in the series, 257 on the year. And as always, we'll keep an eye on Patrick Corbin's first inning. That has been a big hurdle for Patrick all year long. He's ahead of Hernandez 0-2. Corbin in 22 starts this year has given up 23 runs on 35 hits in the first inning. Opponents are hitting nearly 370 against Patrick in the first inning this year.
Not uncommon for a pitcher to take an inning or two to settle in, but you'd really like to see him be a little more effective than that.
He's behind almost immediately in every start he makes. That was certainly the case last week against the Cubs when Chicago got 2 runs on 4 hits in that first inning, and followed that up with a 4-run second. Hernandez chases that one. Herman hangs on. And that's a good start for Patrick. 1 strikeout. Let's take a look at the Diamondbacks defensively. Nationwide Vision Centers brings us that.
Peralta, Blanco, and Martinez left to right across the outfield. Third to first, it's Lamb, Marte, Descalso, and Goldschmidt. Chris Herman hanging on to that foul tip on the 3rd strike. Will be behind the plate for lefty Patrick Corbin. Good changeup there by Patrick to get that first strikeout.
That's the pitch. As Jody told us in the pregame show, Patrick has been working on more and more. He's seeing it more and more often. The coaches are very happy about that. There'll be Tomlinson check swing foul. Tomlinson hitting .268. He has singled twice and walked in the series. He's got 5 hits in his last 10 at bats. It's a weird infield. Doesn't seem like a giant infield today for Bruce Bochy, with Tomlinson at shortstop, Ryder Jones at third, and Miguel Gomez at second base. Who are these guys?
Who are these guys? Miguel Gomez was a guy that came up basically as a safety net for a couple days. They assumed they were going to send him back to AAA very quickly, but he came up here and started to swing it a little bit, and the Giants were starved for offense.
This is popped up first base side, finding the bright sunshine. Descalso still backing up, and he's got it. That was a bit of an adventure. The wind is blowing out that way. 2 down.
Everybody chase everything. That used to be the motto down at Old Candlestick Park. You get that swirling wind and the bright sunshine during a day game. You never know where those pop-ups are going to end up.
Our umpires today: Brian O'Nor, the crew chief, behind the plate. Ben May at first base, Scott Berry at second, and Quinn Walcott's at third. Buster Posey, the first baseman today. See if Patrick can get a 1-2-3 first. Posey 0 for 4 in the series. He has walked twice. .325 and 11 home runs. Brandon Belt on the 7-day concussion DL after he was hit in the helmet by an Anthony Bonda curveball the other night. So Posey at first base today. Nick Hundley is behind the plate for the Giants.
Beat him with a 93-mile-an-hour fastball that time. Posey late with that swing, fouled it off to the right side.
Well, for Patrick, the problem against the Cubs and talking to the coaches was simply location. He just hung a few sliders and a couple of changeups, and he wasn't spotting his fastball, and it was a rough day for him. Hard to third. Jake Lamb, time to recover, and throws him out. A nice 1-2-3 first for Patrick Corbin. A good start. It's 1-0 Diamondbacks. Second inning in San Francisco. Fans, don't forget it's MLB.TV every night, every device, the whole thing. You can watch every out-of-market regular season game live and get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply, so visit MLB.TV for details. A lot of Diamondback fans, employees, season ticket holders, everybody's here. They've been with us all weekend long. D-backs hosting 35 corporate partners and 45 season ticket holders all weekend long here in San Francisco. We got to chat with a whole bunch of Diamondback season ticket holders in the hotel lobby this morning.
Yeah, it looked like D-backs fan fest in the lobby when I went down to check out this morning. Sedona red. It's a little bit of purple scattered in.
Yeah, D-back stuff everywhere here this weekend. It's great to see. Daniel Descalso leads off the second against Jeff Samardzija. Daniel 0 for 4 with a walk in the series, 233 on the year. That's out of play. A lot of corporate partners on the trip. Folks here from APS, 98.7 FM, Arizona Sports Station, Anheuser-Busch. Fox Sports Arizona has a group here. Our friends at Gila River Casinos, Miller Coors, Pepsi, Schwartz Laser Eye, they're all here. Judd Norris, Tiffany Tallman, Sarah Schwartz doing a great job of hosting everybody. They had a little wine country trip yesterday. Got up there to Napa for some Sauvignon Blanc and some Cabernet. Or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
And we've got a whole bunch of season ticket holders here. Casey and Taylor hosting all those guys. Lazy fly ball to left for Jared Parker. Always tough to counter the Giants' home field advantage, but we're trying. D-back Nation travels well. Looking forward, though, to getting back home.
Oh, yeah.
Day off tomorrow, then a big homestand. 3 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Cubs next weekend, then 2 against the Houston Astros. Ketel Marte, 242 and 4 home runs. Ketel doubled and walked last night.
Yeah, any way you slice it and dice it, the Diamondbacks have had a great season up to this point, but this will be a really interesting homestand. I mean, we talk all the time about how do you measure up against other good teams in baseball. Well, we're going to see 3 of the best on that next homestand.
Bunted straight back to the mound. Easy play for Samardzija. 2 outs. Yeah, all those teams are going to the postseason. I mean, the Dodgers, we talked about that last night. They're out of control. The Cubs will win either the division or a wild card, likely the NL Central, and the Houston Astros have been rolling all year long in the AL West. And after that 2-game visit from the Astros, we go to Houston to start another long road trip. Houston, Minnesota, then 4 against the Mets in New York. The Herminator getting the start behind the plate today. Chris Herman. Chris batting 160. He's got 8 home runs. It's hit hard, but a tremendous play by Gomez at second base. And Posey hangs on. Took a base hit away from Chris Herman right there. Miguel Gomez. It's 1-0 Diamondbacks.
second inning. Let's take a look at our Coors timeless moment. On this day back in 1993, the late Tony Gwynn got his 2,000th hit, and he liked that so much he waited till '99 to get his 3,000th hit on this day. His mother was in attendance. Kerwin Danley, a former teammate at San Diego State, was an umpire in the ball game that day, and 13,000 Expos fans were also there.
Well, he was an absolute delight, Tony Gwynn, the late great Tony Gwynn.
Yep.
Hunter Pence and his Game of Thrones theme. Big night tonight, by the way. I'm sure you'll be tuned in.
Winter is coming.
Wow, look at you. That was impressive.
If you hear it often enough, I have no idea what it means. I've just heard it a lot.
You say that a lot on House Stark. Hunter Pence, big Game of Thrones person. They had a Hunter Pence Game of Thrones bobblehead night here earlier this year. He's a Game of Thrones wacko. That's why he's got the music. And he had a big night last night, Hunter Pence. 2-run home run, his first home run here at AT&T Park since September of last year. And it looked a little something like this.
Don't throw off speed inside to Hunter Pence.
That was when the Giants got 3 in the 7th. Diamondbacks had a 4-0 lead, and it vanished just like that.
Well, we talked about it last night. Hunter Pence steps in the bucket. He starts from an open stance and then opens up even more. And anything off speed, middle of the plate in, he'll get it in the air to left field.
Just like that. Peralta's there, though. And Torey Lovullo was talking about that after the game last night. There are certain things in all the data and analytics they have and their game plans and scouting reports. There are certain things that have big red X's. Don't do this.
Don't do this.
And they did one of those don't do's last night and got burned.
Such a good outing from Taijuan Walker. Just appeared to bang up against the wall in that 7th inning.
And it just came out of nowhere because he was really rolling Taijuan. He had struck out 6 to that point and given up only 3 hits in the ball game. 6 scoreless innings. But then Sandoval doubled for his first hit as a return to the Giants, a returnee. Then Parker had the RBI double, Pence the home run, and boom. 3 batters, 3 runs. Hundley had a big night last night. He's back behind the plate today. 3 hits, including a double for Nick Hundley. 272 and 5 homers. His first season in San Francisco. That guy knows a thing or two about catching. Well, how good a catcher was Bruce Bochy?
He was solid. I mean, you know, prototypical backup catcher. He backed up Terry Kennedy for a long time, backed up Benito Santiago. He'd get his 1 start a week, and occasionally he would lift and separate, hit a long home run to left field, but he called a good game. Solid defensively behind the plate, had a really good throwing arm. Had some issues with his equipment from time to time, though.
Oh, the head?
Well, you know, the mask sometimes would look like he was looking at first base instead of looking toward the pitcher's mound. The shin guards weren't always on the front of his legs. He was just a rock pile back there, but did a great job.
Blanco's got that one. Bruce Bochy, of course, a member of that great '84 San Diego Padres team that went to the World Series. 9 years in the big leagues, a career .239 hitter. Miguel Gomez now. I remember they did a special documentary about that '84 Padre team because those guys were nuts.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently Ed Whitson was on that team.
That's enough said.
Yeah. Gomez bangs one to center. First Giant hit, 2-out single. But Ed Whitson used to wear a hairpiece, and apparently Bochy used to like to get in the swimming pool and swim up underneath the water from behind him, drag him down under the water, and watch that hairpiece float away. He thought that was funny.
Oh.
Ed Whitson didn't think it was funny.
Well, Kurt Bavacqua was on those teams. Tim Flannery, the former third base coach here for the Giants with Bruce Bochy for years and years. They had a bunch of lunatics on that team.
It was a good team, though. '84 Padres.
Yeah, the one guy that just didn't seem to fit in with the rest was Kevin McReynolds. Very quiet, you know, kind of kept to himself, didn't say a whole lot, not a lot of flash in his game, but a very good player. Just didn't seem to fit with the rest of those goofballs.
Jared Parker had the walk-off winner last night. Parker 2 hits, 2 RBIs, a double in that walk-off single in the 10th, his first career walk-off hit. Yeah, that 84 Padre team. Dick Williams was the skipper. They went 92-70, won the National League West, and lost to the Kirk Gibson, Alan Trammell Tigers in that 84 World Series. And Goose Gossage talked Dick Williams into letting him throw a pitch to Gibby, and that was a mistake.
Bad call. That's back in the day when other American League teams were complaining to the league president that Kirk Gibson plays the game too hard. Apparently he ran into Rick Dempsey at home plate on a collision play one time, knocked Dempsey all the way back into the first base on deck circle, and Rick Dempsey said the bruise actually came out on the back of his leg. He got hit in the front of his thigh and the bruise came out on the back of his leg. That's a pretty good shot.
Kirk Gibson, a great college football player at Michigan State, kind of played baseball the same way.
Absolutely. I mean, his high fives would put guys on the disabled list.
They still do. We saw Gibby in Detroit. He looked great. Corbin behind on Parker, 3-1. Good fastball there from Patrick. It's a full count, 3-2. Ryder Jones, the rookie, at third base today. He's on deck. Gomez, the runner at first. 2 outs, 3-2 on Jarrett Parker. He gets into one and hits it deep to center field, and that one's going to go. Jarrett Parker, the walk-off single last night. His first home run here today, and it's 2-1 Giants.
Gregor Blanco, as we've mentioned many times already, has played a lot of ball games in this park, and he barely moved. Day game at AT&T, solid contact. He took a couple of steps and realized that one's way out of here.
Jarrett Parker, his first home run of the year, just his 12th game with the Giants this season. And having a big series. Here's Ryder Jones. Diamondbacks put 3 defenders on the right side of the infield. Jones only 3 for 32 this year without an extra base hit. Well, Patrick had been cruising along, 5 up, 5 down. Gomez the 2-out single, then Parker the 2-run homer, 422 feet. 109 miles an hour off the bat. 22nd home run given up by Patrick Corbin this year. This is his 23rd start. And he strikes out Ryder Jones. Second strikeout for Corbin, but Parker's homer makes it 2-1 San Francisco. They trail the Giants 2-1. T-Mobile gives us the unlimited baseball break. Check around the rest of the National League wild card picture. Diamondbacks a half game behind Colorado for that first wild card spot. The Rockies are hosting the Phillies right now. 1-1 in the 6th inning. That was Jeff Hoffman and Aaron Nola. Brewers at Tampa Bay at the Trop. The Trop. The Rays beat Milwaukee 2-1. And the Cardinals beating up on the Redlegs. Boy, oh boy.
Battling Redlegs had a 3-0 lead in that game at one point. Got away.
Dodgers play the night game tonight at the Mets. Hyunjin Ryu and Steven Matz in that one. Got to keep an eye on that National League Central. Milwaukee only 5 games behind the Diamondbacks for that second NL wild card. D-backs beginning play today, as you just saw, 63 and 47. 16 over 500. 15 games behind the Dodgers NL West lead. The tapper to shortstop. Kelby Tomlinson is there. 5 in a row retired by Jeff Samardzija. Second time through the order now. The leadoff man David Peralta walked to lead off the ball game. Scored on Goldie's 2-out RBI double. David 4 hits in this series. He's doubled twice. He had 3 hits last night. And he's always hit well in this ballpark. Nearly a .320 hitter at AT&T Park. A couple of home runs in 21 games. As we mentioned in the open, Jeff Samardzija's first 2 starts this year came against the Diamondbacks, and Samardzija lost both of them. Gave up 6 runs, 8 hits, 5 1/3 in his season debut. That was at Chase Field. Diamondbacks got him for 3 home runs. He pitched better in his next start. That was here at AT&T Park, but lost again 4-3. Second base for Gomez.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Gregor Blanco back in town.
There's been a lot of manicuring going on around home plate. We saw Quinn Walcott do this several times in the ball game last night. Come out from behind his position and fix one of the divots around the home plate area.
Blanco drives one to center. Hernandez is there. 7 straight retired by Samardzija. Diamondbacks trail it 2-1.
Matchup Corbin, Samardzija, who we're actually seeing right now, Samardzija at the plate. But pitching-wise, it would come down to 2-strike execution. Now, that may seem obvious, that many times is the difference. And that one's gonna. I'll let you handle that one, Steve.
It's off the wall, Jody. Samardzija jogs into second. He just missed a home run. You were saying
that one's gonna go, but but yes, obviously first pitch swinging there. But when you look at this matchup and Patrick looking for success, it's bearing down and finishing that pitch, whether it's the slider, just making that pitch, having it be in the dirt rather than up. And so that's something that Mike Butcher's looking for Patrick Corbin to be able to do today, guys.
Well, he's giving up some hard hit balls, Jody. Gomez had the 2-out single, belted to center, then the long homer by Parker. And now Samardzija took him deep to center field off the wall. A double leads off the third. Here's the leadoff man, Gorky Hernandez. Hernandez struck out his first time up. Hernandez has been effective against left-handers lately. 10 hits in his last 24 at-bats versus lefties. He's ahead 2-0. Gorky Hernandez out of Venezuela, his second season with the Giants. Spent almost all of last year with their AAA team in Sacramento. The shortstop, Ketel Marte, and it went right through him. Samardzija wasn't even looking. He just jogged back to the bag at second, assuming Ketel was going to make the play. And went right through the Diamondback shortstop. So at least Samardzija stays put there.
You see him backpedaling to the bag. Yeah, Marte just came up a little too quickly with the glove. It got underneath into left field. Fortunately, the Giants pitcher was backpedaling into the bag at second. By the time he realized it had gotten through, he didn't have enough time to make it to third base.
He's 6. 2 on and no outs in the Giant third. Here's Kelby Tomlinson, who popped up his first time. Tomlinson making only his 16th start all year. He's a guy who can play all over. Bunted that one fair, and it works out as the runners move up. An accidental sacrifice, it seems, for Kelby Tomlinson there.
It looked like he was actually just trying to get out of the way, and the ball hit his bat, but it turns out to be a perfect sacrifice bunt.
And now you'll deal with Posey and Pence. Here's Buster, who grounded to third to win the first. And they're going to signal to the hitter that he's being given the intentional walk, and they'll pitch to Pence with the bases full. Well, Patrick in a jam here. Trailing 2-1, bases loaded, 1 out for Hunter Pence, who flied out his first time up today. Pence with 3 hits and a walk in this series, including his home run last night. Ball 1. Hunter Pence comes into today riding a 7-game hitting streak. He's got 3 home runs during that hit streak. Fastball's a strike, and it's 1-1. Torey Lovullo hoping for a winning record on this road trip. D-backs with a win here will finish the 10-game trip 6-4. Boy, you would absolutely take that if you consider a long 10-game trip, a split in St. Louis, and series wins at Wrigley Field and here in San Francisco. That's a pretty good trip. But you got to win this one. One and two on Hunter Pence. Chris Herman keeps it in front. 2 balls and 2 strikes. How does Chris Herman, Bob, compare defensively behind the plate with Jeff Mathis or Chris Iannetta?
I think very favorably, especially blocking balls in the dirt. All 3 guys are exceptional blocking pitches in the dirt, which has allowed the D-back staff to bounce that breaking ball in a 2-strike count and know that their catcher's going to do everything he can to keep it in front.
That one's foul down the right field line. You see Chris Herman back there with the sunglasses on underneath the mask. It's a bright day here.
You know, as odd as this may sound, you get some serious glare off of home plate itself.
That does sound odd. You're right.
Yeah, bright sunshine glaring off the white home plate.
2 and 2. Needs to find something here. Samardzija at third, Hernandez at second, and Posey at first. 1 out. 3 and 2 to Hunter Pence with Nick Hundley on deck. Base hit. Samardzija scores. Hernandez right behind. Posey will stop at second. And it's a 2-run single for Hunter Pence. 4-1 Giants.
The pitch was down. Chris Herman was getting ready to block it. Should it get down in the dirt, and somehow Pence, with that awkward swing, stumbling out of the right-handed batter's box, gets enough of it to pull it down into that left field corner for a couple of runs driven in.
Mike Butcher making his way to the mound now. D-backs had a 1-0 lead, but the Giants have answered. 2 in the second, now 2 more home in the third. Still only 1 out, and Nick Hundley will be the hitter.
And Patrick's last start against the Cubs, the first game of that series at Wrigley Field, gave up 10 hits in 3 innings. 7 earned runs in that ball game. It was a very non-competitive outing for Patrick Corbin. Made a lot of mistakes in the middle of the plate.
It was the 5th time this year Patrick has given up at least 5 runs in a start, but it was the first time that had happened since June the 2nd, so it had been a while. Hundley flying to center his first time up today. Buster Posey at second, Hunter Pence a runner at first. 2 runs in, 1 out. Hundley had a big night last night. 3 hits, including a double. Fooled on that one. Corbin ahead 0-2.
Yeah, we mentioned about Nick Hundley, only 6 walks all season long. I really think this is a guy that you can't walk it. He wants to swing that bat. A backup catcher to Buster Posey. He's going to get his at bats a couple times a week. He's not up there to walk. He will chase out of the zone.
He's a guy who hits lefties pretty well too. Checked his swing there. Didn't go, says Ben May. Corbin gets a big strikeout. Third strikeout of the game for Patrick. 2 down in the third.
Like a good straight changeup that time, down low and away from Nick Hundley, leading him right out of the strike zone.
That pitch continues to get better and better for Patrick. Real good weapon for him against right-hand batters. 50 pitches, 30 strikes. Here's Gomez, the second baseman, singled and scored his last time up. Interesting, if you're up there against Patrick, you're thinking, okay, back foot slider, a pitch that is moving toward me as a right-hand batter, and then maybe a changeup which is dropping down and away from the right-hand hitter. 2 different directions. Oh, 0-2. Gomez up from Double-A Richmond. He's having a good year there in the Eastern League. 305 with 8 homers, just under 80 games. 24-year-old switch hitter. He was playing an A ball last year. Runners on the move. And 1 stolen base. Pence ends up staying put at first. Posey into third.
Patrick falling into a rhythm out there, not expecting Buster Posey to be aggressive on the bases. Hunter Pence got a late break from first and decided to just stay there.
Third stolen base of the year for Posey. 1-2 on Miguel Gomez. Bounce to shortstop Ketel Marte. They get the force on Pence. That ends the inning. But Pence gets a 2-run single. It's 4-1 Giants. Giants 4-1. D-backs fans, if you can't watch the games on TV, stream them live on your mobile device. Use Fox Sports Go, presented by your Valley Honda dealers. You can download the free app and take Fox Sports Arizona and the D-backs with you wherever you go. Jeff Samardzija now with a 4-1 lead. He's retired 7 straight Diamondbacks. Jake Lamb leads off the 4th. Jake rounded out his first time up. 0 for 7 in the series. D-backs need Jake Lamb to be the Jake Lamb in the second half that was the Jake Lamb in the first half, if you get my meaning.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I mean, Jake hit under 200 after the All-Star break last year. Right now he's hitting 190 since the break this year. And that's a good start to the fourth inning, a single to center. I mean, the batting average hasn't been there for Lamb, but since the All-Star break this year, he does have 18 RBIs in 19 games.
And without looking back through the box scores, it just seems like a lot of those RBIs come in bunches.
Yeah, like in Chicago.
Yeah.
Once again, Brian Honora attending to home plate there. Maybe it's too shiny. That's the problem.
Put some eye black on the plate.
Something's going on down there with the plate. It's been happening all series, as you pointed out earlier. Here's Goldie, takes a strike. State Farm winning combo. Paul Goldschmidt on this road trip. 454. He's homered 4 times, 3 in 1 game. A double, a triple. He's knocked in 14 runs, including his RBI double with 2 outs in the first here today. The only D-back run so far. They're talking about Jake Lamb. A lot of the Diamondbacks can be streaky hitters from time to time. Brandon Drury's a good example of that. Brandon can get as hot as anybody in a game when he's got it going. A.J. Pollock, David Peralta, sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down.
Chris Owings, before he broke his hand, he's a guy that could get real hot and then cool off for a couple of weeks at a time. It's not unusual in this game, especially with all the advanced scouting and video scouting that you do nowadays. A guy gets hot and everybody knows what you're hitting and where you're hitting it, so they don't throw it there. Then you make an adjustment to that, and then they make an adjustment to you right back.
It's exhausting.
It is.
2-2. Well, that is the nature of the beast. Somebody always said baseball is the adjustment to the adjustment to the adjustment.
Absolutely. Very well put. Whoever said that.
Yeah, they are really smart. I think it was the governor, Greg Schulte.
Probably.
Two and two to Goldie. Samardzija beat him with a fastball, humped it up to 97. And that's his first strikeout today, Jeff Samardzija.
You know, that seems to be the one place you can get Goldie to chase out of the zone. That fastball up. He's such a good fastball hitter, especially middle of the plate in, but occasionally you can sneak one by him in that location. If you miss off the plate down low, he's going to take it for a ball.
J.D. Martinez popped up at his first at bat today. J.D. coming off the 3-hit night last night, a double and a triple. Martinez with 7 hits on the road trip. 3 of them are home runs.
His double last night was a line drive off the wall in left field. The triple was just a deep high fly ball in the gap in right center that everybody lost.
Heavy overcast cloud cover. And J.D. hit that ball last night in the 7th inning. Denard Span, Hunter Pence were both waving their arms. Nobody could see it. It dropped right in between them in Triple's alley. And he wound up appropriately enough with a triple. It's almost like when we were kids, you'd play baseball in the street or in the lot. Okay, if you hit it there, it's an automatic double because we only have 3 guys. So,
yeah. And if you hit it in Mrs. Jones's rose bushes, you're automatically out.
Anything to right center here is an automatic triple. That's the rule. We used to hit him off the Bannister's mailbox on Stagecoach Road. AD sends one to right. 2 on, 1 down for the Diamondbacks in the 4th. Daniel Descalso trying to get it going. He flied out his first time up. He is 3 for 23 on the road trip. Chance to pick up some runners here. 2 on, 1 down.
What a day at the old ballpark, huh? You bottle this and take it all year long.
It is just gorgeous here. Very comfortable, mid-60s, not a cloud in the sky. Oftentimes on days like this, you'll get boats that will just pull up behind right field, and everybody gets a view of the game. There they are.
Yeah, back in the days when Barry Bonds was dunking balls into McCovey Cove with regularity, there might be 2 or 3 dozen kayaks out there looking for home run balls.
Now it's the big cruise ships. Maybe the Governor and Nancy are on that one right now. I'm told by our somewhat unreliable staff that the name of that boat is Cabernet Sauvignon. So it's a wine cruise. It's not a bad deal. Just cruise around the bay on a beautiful day, drink some wine, get a peek at a couple of batters here at the ball game. Now they're turning around. They're headed out to sea. You've seen enough. Great day to be out on the water here. There it goes. Yeah, the cabbie. There it is.
You know, we actually had a team party one year on a cruise boat out in the bay. Mike Krukow and myself organized the thing and dressed up like naval captains. Had a band on the boat and the whole deal. It was a lot of fun.
Captain Stubing.
Fortunately, a very smooth night on the bay.
Descalso fights that one off. Pence near the line. He won't get there. They're waving Lamb home. Here's the throw. It's cut off, and it's 4-2. Martinez into third. The RBI single for Daniel Descalso.
Well placed little dunker that time. Looked like it got in on the hands of Daniel Descalso just a little bit, but he fights it off down that right field line. Hunter Pence once again shading over in that gap in right center. Just about anything hit down that right field line is going to drop. Pence plays over and tries to protect against a possible triple, so occasionally you can dunk one out there in shallow right field and he can't get to it.
Martinez at third, Descalso at first. A run is in, 1 out. And here's Ketel Marte, who tapped back to the mound his first time up. Backdoor breaking ball in there for strike 1. Ketel has hit safely in 6 straight games now, 9 of his last 11. He doubled and walked in last night's ball game. Trying to strike back against Samardzija. 3 singles so far. Still just 1 out. Missed with a fastball, and it's 1-1. That's going to get out of play. Giants pitching just has not worked out this year. They're counting on Samardzija to eat up some innings, and he's done that again this year. But Cueto's hurt now, and Matt Cain has essentially lost his rotation spot. They're kind of beat up in their rotation. 60 pitches, 42 strikes.
Bumgarner missed all that time on the disabled list. Yeah. They've had to just plug whoever's healthy into that rotation and hope for the best.
But Bochy described Samardzija as a horse he can ride. His bad games aren't pretty games. Even his good ones, he'll get popped for a home run or two. Drives the ERA up, but they believe, and they're right, there's a lot of value in the body of work here, all the innings that Samardzija provides. Especially with the rest of the rotation struggling.
Well, he's a bullpen saver. He's one of those guys that at least once every fifth day, you know you're going to get 6, 7 innings, maybe even more than that out of Jeff Samardzija. He's a horse. He can throw a lot of pitches. I've mentioned it many times in the past since he was so heavily involved in football. He didn't eat up a lot of the innings that you see pitchers in summer ball and the showcase leagues and things like that. He was always playing football, so a relatively young arm.
Yeah, he's 32. His arm is probably 25.
Yeah.
But you look at the record and you go, 6-11. An ERA almost 5. Bochy put it very well when he said, you know, Samardzija can control wins, but he does control how many times he gives you a chance to win. And Samardzija does that a lot. Marte lifts the 3-2 to left field for Jared Parker. Martinez at third, and here he comes. Got him. They didn't cut it off. Jared Parker from left field. The throw goes through, and the out is made at home. Torey Lovullo, though, with a hand up on the top step of the dugout, wants to have a look. If they can get it overturned, it's a run. If not, it's the end of the inning. We play on. But the D-backs get one back. They trail it 4-2. In the majors in terms of outfield assists, but that was a heck of a throw by Jared Parker.
Yeah, the second one for Parker this season. The other one came against the Diamondbacks back in early August. I mean, he didn't get as much momentum as I'm sure he would have liked, but shows a really strong and accurate throwing arm, getting that ball to Nick Hundley. Ooh, that's very close right there.
Diamondbacks elected not to challenge, and Parker throws out JD Martinez trying to tag up. So it's a 4-2 ball game as Parker leads off the bottom of the fourth. Diamondbacks will put the shift on. He had a long 2-run homer to dead center his first time up, his first of the year. This was Jared Parker with 2 outs in the second against Patrick Corbin. That's one thing Parker can do. He's got a lot of pop, a ton of swing and miss as well, but he's got power. That's why they keep giving him opportunities. They hoped he would win the left field job for the season. He made the opening day roster, but he only played in 9 games before he went just slamming into the outfield wall in smashed his right collarbone. That was April 15th. He missed nearly 100 games. Just came back. The company line from the Giants on Jared Parker has always been, from the front office and the coaches, they'll live with the strikeouts if he hits some home runs. But he hasn't able to do that consistently enough or stay healthy enough to get in there every day.
I think they call that the Jock Peterson theory.
And there's some of the swing and miss, so it's pretty much a glimpse into Jared Parker's world there. A home run, a strikeout.
Yeah, left-handed breaking balls has always been his kryptonite. I mean, he chases high fastballs. He'll chase pitches off the plate in and out, but that breaking ball from a lefty down and away, very tough to handle.
Ryder Jones, the third baseman, struck out his first time up today. D-backs will leave the shift on for Jones. Ryder Jones only 3 for 33 this year. Just recalled from AAA on Thursday, his second stint with the Giants this season. 23-year-old rookie. Giants didn't tear it apart at the trade deadline. They don't really have many guys that they could move because they have a lot of big contracts on this team. There's not many movable pieces here, but they are calling up some of their youngsters like Ryder Jones or Miguel Gomez, giving them a look here in August and September.
And really, I commend the Giants for that. When you find yourself in the position they're in right now, you know what you've got with your veteran players. As you mentioned, some unmovable contracts, so you might as well take the opportunity to look at some of these young kids, give them a chance to get some at bats or innings pitched under their belt, and make it a much easier evaluation in the offseason.
It's quite a contrast to spring training when they had brought in a number of veteran infield types. Corbin gets his second consecutive strikeout, his 5th of the ball game. Guys like Connor Gillespie and Aaron Hill, they signed a Korean bat flip artist, Jae-Kyun Wong. He's in AAA right now as they give some of the young guys a look. Samardzija doubled and scored his first time.
Jimmy Rollins?
Yeah, Jimmy Rollins was there, sure. But when they figured out it just wasn't going to work this year, they started cutting those guys loose. Well, this start hasn't gone the way Patrick Corbin would have hoped, certainly. But one thing Patrick has done a good job of is that when he has a bad inning and gives up some runs, he's pretty much able to limit the damage and keep the Diamondbacks in the ballgame. And if he keep the Giants to 4 here with plenty of time left, might not be in too bad a shape. I mean, Patrick imploded last Tuesday at Wrigley Field. That was ugly, but we haven't seen too many of those to that degree this year. In 9 starts prior to last week, Patrick had an ERA of 3.04, so he'd been pitching pretty well. Wins in his 2 starts previous to that. He beat the Reds and the Braves. He's gone full on the pitcher, 3-2. Corquez Hernandez on deck. Ketel Marte at shortstop. 5 in a row set down by Patrick Corbin. Diamondbacks trail the Giants 4-2.
baseball history as the Giants lead the D-backs 4-2 in the 5th inning. You know, you can find a Willie Mays highlight just about every day in baseball history, but on this day in 1962, a franchise record 5th time he got 5 hits in a ball game. 2-run homer in the 1st, a 2-run homer in the 2nd. He had a single in the 4th, 5th, and 8th inning.
Boy, think about him as a kid playing on the Birmingham Negro League teams. Just a baby, really. What a career.
There's those great pictures when he was playing for the Giants in New York, playing stickball with the kids on the way home from the ballpark.
660 home runs, the great Willie Mays. Great statue of Willie Mays right out front of the main entrance here at the ballpark, AT&T Park.
I still insist Mays would have had a lot more home runs had he not played most of his career at Candlestick Park. Those swirling winds kept a lot of drives in the ballpark. Wind most of the time kind of blew in from left field, got inside the bowl and swirled around, but very tough to hit one to left field at Old Candlestick.
Oh, we could say the same thing for you.
I'm sure I might have had 2 or 3 more homers in my career.
Maybe a few more than that.
Willie might have had 200 or 300 more.
Well, it's just all perspective. That's
Yeah.
it. Chris Herman leads off the 5th against Jeff Samardzija. Chris trying to get it going up there. He's stuck in a 4 for 55 skid right now. Troy Lovello like this matchup offensively for the Hermanator against the Shark Samardzija. And sometimes with Chris, the results aren't always there in terms of the back of the baseball card, but he's had very productive at bats. Had a critical walk last night. Trying to keep that 9th inning going. Diamondbacks had bases loaded, 2 outs in the 9th last night against Dyson, but couldn't get a run in. Mentioned some of those other scores we were keeping an eye on. Rockies are tied with the Phillies right now in Colorado, 1-1. They're in the 7th inning. Milwaukee lost to Tampa Bay 2-1. Dodgers at the Mets later tonight. Herman strikes out.
Chase a high fastball this time. I think that's why Torey Lovello liked the matchup with Chris Herman against Samardzija. Samardzija likes to challenge. He'll throw his fastball a lot. Unfortunately, that time Chris chased one up out of the zone.
The pitcher, Patrick Corbin. Cubbies getting beat up at home. Nationals lead at Chicago 9-4 in the 9th inning.
I think that was a John Lester start, wasn't it?
Stand by. Efforting.
Let's see.
Yeah, John.
Yeah.
John Lester. 3 earned, 6 hits, and 6 2/3 for Lester. 7 strikeouts. Look, Wilson Contreras hit 2 more home runs.
Stop.
He did.
Just stop it.
He is on fire. Kyle Schwarber had a home run for the Cubs, but they're losing 9-4. Matt Wieters has a homer for the Nationals. Brian Goodwin. Yankees beat the Indians in Cleveland 8-1. Aaron Judge hit a 3-run home run in the 7th. His 35th of the year. Aaron Judge has 35 home runs, leading the majors in OPS. Aaron Judge is also on pace to become the first rookie in Major League history to strike out 200 times. As Corbin goes down, 3 strikeouts for Samardzija.
Hey fans, a D-backs home run today means a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow at participating Jack in a Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
David Peralta now. Michael Brenly's Red Sox beat the White Sox 6-3 at Fenway Park. Doug Fister got the win again. He's starting to figure it out, Doug Fister. Former Diamondback great Chris Young hit a couple of home runs in that game for Boston.
Oh boy, see why.
One and one. There was another trade today. You can still make trades after the trade deadline, but the player has to clear waivers first, and then you can trade him. That's why there are trades after the trade deadline. Seattle picked up Yonder Alonso from Oakland. Mariners very much in the AL wildcard discussion. This is drifting into the seats and foul.
I think I've mentioned it in the past. When I first saw Yonder Alonso come up with the Cincinnati Reds, now it was a question where he was going to play defensively because he wasn't really good anywhere with the leather. But I thought he was going to win some batting titles, and maybe he still will. I just loved his swing, kept his bat in the zone for a long time, had power from foul line to foul line.
Yeah, a lot of very serious hand and wrist injuries, but he's had a good year for the Yankees, and now he's in Seattle. Ortiz Hernandez has that one. Samardzija works a 1-2-3 fifth. D-backs trail at 4-2. Francisco, Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly, and Jody Jackson here with you. D-backs trail the Giants, calling all kids between the ages of 10 and 16. If you'd like to be part of a D-backs telecast, interview a player, go behind the scenes and see what it takes to produce a baseball game on the TV, then come on out next Sunday. Chase Field, Fox Sports Arizona, Sanderson Ford Kidcaster auditions from 11:30 in the morning to 1:30 in the afternoon. That's at the Sandlot during the Diamondbacks and Cubs game. Ortiz Hernandez leads off the bottom of the fifth against Patrick Corbin. He shoots one down the right field line, and it's in the corner. J.D. Martinez fishes it out of there. Oh, they got Hernandez hung up. He headed for third, changed his mind halfway there, and now he's out. No, he's safe. Oh, my goodness. Scott Barry, the second base umpire, says he got back in there. Hernandez went around the second base bag full speed. Looks like Descalso may have dropped the ball.
Well, Descalso initiates it, gets that ball to Marte right there. They start the rundown. Jake Lamb with a little shovel toss here to Descalso and just didn't catch the ball. And it looked like Hernandez got his right hand on the base before Daniel had an opportunity to recover.
It looked like a pretty good call by Scott Berry out there. Troy Lavello having a discussion with Brian O'Nora now out in front of the D-back dugout. He might be asking if there's an aspect of that play they can challenge. I'm not sure what the answer is there. But there will be no challenge. There's nothing that's subject to review there. Here's another look.
Well, that's an area defensively the Diamondbacks had really tightened up this year compared to last year. The rundowns. Seemed like last year every time they got a guy in a rundown it took about 9 throws to get the out. Descalso holding up the ball at the end of that play, but I think Hernandez may have gotten that right hand back on the bag before the tag.
Those is his 14th double. And they will give Descalso the error. A double for Hernandez, E4. Oh, and 1 on Kelby Tomlinson. And another sloppy game for the Diamondbacks defensively. And the ball go right through the legs of Ketel Marte at shortstop. That was back in the 3rd inning. A ball also hit by Gorkys Hernandez. He came around to score on Hunter Pence's RBI single, a 2-run single for Pence. Patrick at 75 pitches, 45 strikes. If you're scoring with us at home, that was 9-4-5-6 on the assists. E4 charged to Descalso as Tomlinson strikes out. 6 strikeouts for Corbin.
Not sure if it's from being around Hunter Pence so much, but Kelby Tomlinson can take some really funny looking swings sometimes. Just kind of spins around that ball. Swings through a pitch that ended up in the dirt.
Well, the Diamondbacks want no part of Buster Posey. Second time today he's been given a no pitch intentional walk, and he'll pitch to Pence. Now last time this backfired. They gave Posey the free pass and Pence hit a 2-run single to left field. He's up there now with 2 on and 1 out. Pence now with an 8-game hitting streak. And a 2-run home run here last night. His first home run at AT&T Park this year.
Diamondbacks middle infielders are split pretty wide apart out there with Gorkys Hernandez at second base, and Hernandez can run. 8 stolen bases on the season. If you give him too much of a lead out there at second base, he might try to steal third.
And there they go. Herman drops the ball. A double steal for the Giants.
Unfortunately, we see this a lot when Patrick Corbin is on the mound. He spends an inordinate amount of time during the game looking down at his shoes. I learned early on in my career, Roger Craig aired me out one time because I watched a foul ball go up in the stands. And he said, "Why are you looking where the foul ball went? Look at me. I'll give you the sign while everybody else is watching the foul ball go out of play." And I learned that if you keep your head up, especially as a pitcher, watch your infielders, watch the base runners, watch your catcher. Be more alert. Stay plugged into the ball game, man. Patrick is so focused on that next pitch. He's always looking down at the ground.
Infield comes in for the D-backs. 1-2 on Pence.
Watch him get the throw back here. If he does what he usually does, he'll get the ball back. A little delay here as Brian O'Nora has to get a new supply of baseballs, but Chris Herman usually throws him the ball back, and the first thing is to look down at his shoes. Now that's a point where a middle infielder, as the base runner is looking around, a middle infielder might just give you the head nod. Hey, keep an eye on me. I might sneak in behind him here.
Two and two. Well, there's no good place to pitch Hunter Pence. It's like throwing to Vladimir Guerrero. He can get to just about anything down and away. He'll chase up.
Yeah, he can get to those pitches away, but he's probably not going to really hurt you to the opposite field. He steps in the bucket so much and chokes up so much on that bat. I think he has a hard time reaching those pitches away and driving, and he might hit him off the end of the bat to right field.
Went down and got a little loop single in the third for 2 runs. Patrick comes inside with a fastball and misses, and it's a full count, 3-2. Corbin trying to find a way to win this moment. Keep it a 4-2 ball game. Second and third, 1 out. And yeah, he went. Patrick Corbin gets a big strikeout there. 2 down. As Brian O'Nora rings up Hunter Pence.
And Hunter Pence, like every other hitter that's been rung up on a check swing by the plate umpire, asking, "Why didn't you get some help?" Well, it looked like Pence got way out in front that time.
Now the hitter is Nick Hundley, who's 0 for 2. Corbin struck Hundley out the last time he faced him back in the third. Mike Butcher. No one warming up at the Diamondback bullpen. Patrick at 83 pitches. This spot in the order doesn't come around for a while. 6th inning, it'll be Blanco, Lamb, and Goldie for the D-backs, 2, 3, and 4. Bullpen has been a little worn out on this road trip. So the deeper the better here for Corbin. Ortiz Hernandez is the runner at third. Buster Posey at second, 2 outs. And here's Nick Hundley. Hundley coming off a 3-hit game last night. Ball 1.
You know, talking about a pitcher and any player for that matter, keeping your head up and being aware of what's going on around you. There were great shots of Curt Schilling back in the day. The hitter would step out of the box and start playing around with his batting gloves and going through his routine, and Schill would just look into Damian Miller and go, "Fastball." And Damian wouldn't even hang a sign.
Because everyone else was watching the foul ball or something else, and he could literally mouth the word of the pitch he wanted.
Just say what you want to throw.
Now everybody covers up their mouths with the glove. It's like a secret spy mission trying to figure out what pitch to throw. One and one on Hundley. Big Good spot for Patrick if he can pick up his defender Descalso behind him. Hernandez had the leadoff double. Struck out Tomlinson. Posey got the free pass. He struck out Pence. Now ahead of Hundley 1-2. Up the middle and into center field. That'll score 2. And it's 6-2 Giants.
Not a bad pitch. Change up off the outside corner away. Hundley just went out there and got enough bat on it to sneak it up the middle of the field for a couple runs driven in.
Miguel Gomez, the second baseman now. He knocks that into right. A base hit for Gomez. And the inning continues. Gomez 2 for 3. Jared Parker the hitter. Patrick's going to have to ride this out for a bit. No one warming up in the Diamondback bullpen. He's at 90 pitches now. 55 strikes. Parker hit a long 2-run homer to dead center back in the second, his first of the year. 2 on, 2 out, 2 runs in.
Parker, another one of those hitters that has a little bit of an odd routine when he gets in that left-handed batter's box. He holds that bat straight out in front of him and then kind of pumps the left elbow high up in the air while he's staring at the bat.
You know, he looks like, now that I look at it, almost a left-handed Ryan Braun.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that in there.
Braun does that with the high bat and the hands behind the head. Giants now with 7 hits, 4 for the Diamondbacks. D-backs have committed 2 errors. Both errors led to a run. Throw down to second. Hundley wandered way off the bag, but he's back in time. Rockies have taken a 2-1 lead over the Phillies. They're in the 8th inning in Denver. D-backs a half game back for that first National League wild card spot right now. And 5 games ahead of Milwaukee for the second spot. Brewers lost today at Tampa Bay 2-1. Full count on Jared Parker, 3-2. Runners on the move, and that is strike 3. 8 strikeouts for Corbin. He strands 2, but the Giants add 2 more. They lead it 6-2. It's one of the biggest matchups this year at Chase Field, and it's coming up this weekend, August 11th, 12th, and 13th. It's the Diamondbacks and the Cubs. And this Friday, August 11th, is a free 90s post-game street concert featuring Sugar Ray's Mark McGrath. That's presented by Crystal Pepsi. Get your tickets for the D-backs and Cubs right now, dbacks.com. A whole bunch of Diamondbacks season ticket holders with us here. Casey and Taylor hosting our season ticket holders for 3 games in San Francisco. Diamondbacks with 35 corporate partners, 45 season ticket holders here all weekend long.
I ran into Ron and Anita Goodson from Pepsi in the lobby this morning.
There's the former Giant Gregor Blanco, the center fielder today, leads off the 6th against Jeff Samardzija. Yeah, Ron's at the ballpark all the time.
All the time.
Corporate partners on the trip from 98.7 FM Arizona Sports. Talked to those guys a bit in the lobby today at the hotel. Blanco bunts one to third. Ryder Jones comes in, makes a nice play to get him. Good throw there by the rookie Ryder Jones. We've got folks here from Anheuser-Busch, Fox Sports Arizona, Gila River Casinos, Miller Coors, Pepsi, Schwartz Laser Eye Center, Judd Norris and Tiffany Tallman. Sarah Schwartz hosting all those guys. Took him to wine country yesterday. More baseball today. Jake Lamb's already been hit by pitches twice in this series. That's out of play. There was a lot of speculation here at the deadline. Nice catch there. That maybe the Giants would try and move Jeff Samardzija. We talked about all the big contracts they have on this team. Why they didn't do anything at the deadline, really. Well, got a lot of guys making a lot of money, and Samardzija's one of them. Got a $90 million free agent contract before last year. So he comes with a pretty high price tag. So either they couldn't move him or they decided that they needed the innings from Jeff Samardzija, probably a little bit of both. And he has a pretty extensive no trade clause in his contract too. Kind of jams things up. Samardzija's deal allows him to block a trade to 21 different teams if the Giants decide they'd like to save some money. And he's already made it clear he loves being in San Francisco and isn't going anywhere if he has something to say about it.
Well, Samardzija's another good fit here in the Bay Area, a city that has accepted guys with quirky personalities.
What are you saying?
Well, I think he's a good fit here. I mean, obviously on the mound, the things he does during the course of the ball game. What do we got going on here?
Brian O'Nora having a little convo. They seem to be laughing about something.
I mean, I said that when they got Hunter Pence. He's a perfect fit here.
Sure.
Rides his scooter to the ballpark and wears his pants up mid-thigh. Giants fans love him. He loves being here, and I think Samardzija's right out of that same mold.
They need the innings, and they probably have the money. 2-2 now on Jake Lamb. In fact, if they did want to move him, all the clubs that are not on Samardzija's no trade list are big budget, big market teams like the Red Sox and the Cubs, the Mets and the Yankees, Dodgers. Eighth pitch of the at bat. Lamb wins the battle. Second walk issued by Samardzija. I mean, they owe Samardzija $18 million a year for 3 more seasons after this one. And, you know, that's top of the rotation-ish type money. He's more of a middle rotation guy, I would think. 90 pitches, 62 strikes. Here's Goldie. There's strike one. Goldie, an RBI double with 2 outs in the first. He struck out his last time up. Samardzija got him on a couple of fastballs. Like that. That's the same pitch he struck him out on last time up. Some high heat. Chop to third. Ryder Jones. Low throw. A terrific scoop there by Buster Posey. As Lamb moves into second now with 2 outs.
I'm not sure how Buster Posey grades out as a first baseman defensively, but he's made some nice picks over there.
Sure has. That's not an easy play.
Fielded that one behind him almost. Took advantage of that big hop. Fielded that ball almost behind him.
Brandon Belt on the 7-day concussion DL, so it's Posey at first and Nick Hundley behind the plate. Here's JD Martinez. JD singled his last time up, 1 for 2.
It just feels like the D-backs need something to spark the offense. A long home run or an extended inning, send 9 or 10 guys to the plate, get on that merry-go-round. It seems like they have to work so hard to score runs in this series.
And really for the last month it's been like that. I mean, they did it so often. April, May into June. They'd bat around. He'd have 8-10 run innings. Those seem a long time ago now. You're right there, scratching and clawing for everything here. 2-2 to JD Martinez with 2 outs. D-backs so far with just 2 runs on 4 hits. 3 of those hits came in the 4th inning, all singles. Goldie has an RBI double in the first. Descalso an RBI single in that 4th. All the D-backs scoring so far against Jeff Samardzija. Samardzija's spot is due up second in the bottom of the 6th. Coming up on 100 pitches here. As we mentioned, Samardzija has been a horse. He threw 118 pitches in his win at Oakland last Tuesday. Just missed. He thought he had it. Brian Honora wouldn't bite it. It's full 3-2.
Now, he may have wanted that pitch, but that's not the location he wants to throw that slider, up at the top of the zone, just above the top of the zone. Those tend to get hit a long way.
20th pitch of the inning, 100th pitch of the ball game. Foul back to the screen. 100 pitches, 69 strikes. Descalso would be next. He had an RBI single his last time up. Here it is on 3-2. Lifted in the air to right field. It backs up Hunter Penn, still backing up on the track, and he runs it down just shy of the wall. Samardzija strands the one-out walk. Diamondbacks trail it 6-2. D-backs trail the Giants 6-2. What's next brought to you by CenturyLink. We finally get to go home here after this one. Long homestand starts on Tuesday, a 3-game series against those Dodgers. And we don't have to deal with Clayton Kershaw. He's on the shelf right now, but we will see Yu Darvish in the 3rd game of that series.
I think we're probably looking forward to that matchup a little more than the players are. Yu Darvish, he's got about 15 different pitches. They go every direction, every velocity.
Pitched 7 scoreless innings in his Dodger debut the other day against the Mets in New York and had 10 strikeouts. Ryder Jones has struck out twice so far against Patrick Corbin. Patrick has walked 2. He's got 8 strikeouts. His 2 walks both intentional. Jorge De La Rosa has started warming up in the Diamondback bullpen. Jeff Samardzija, Giants pitcher, is out in the on-deck circle.
And it doesn't appear to be a pump fake. Sometimes you send the pitcher up there in the on-deck circle just so the other team can't get a relief pitcher ready for a possible pinch hitter. But there's nobody throwing in the Giants bullpen either, so looks like the Sharks are going to take the at-bat.
Yeah, no, right on. I got nobody down there I like better than him.
He's only at 101 pitches, so trying to get one more inning out of him. Corbin gets his 9th strikeout. He punches out Jones for the 3rd time today. And here's Samardzija, who hit a double off the wall in center field back in the 3rd. He just missed a home run. And Rockies game has gone to the 9th in Colorado. They lead Philadelphia 2-1. If these 2 scores hold up, Diamondbacks will be a game and a half behind the Rockies for that first wild card spot in the National League. Aranja reaches out and lifts it to right center, but Martinez is there. 2 outs.
Hey fans, the day after every D-backs win, get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com.
Gorkys Hernandez. Doubled his last time up, stole a base. He scored twice today. Batting in the leadoff spot. 105 pitches now for Patrick. Corbin's ahead quickly, 0-2. Giants with 2 in the second, 2 in the third, and 2 in the fifth against Corbin. Hernandez waves at that one. Herman finishes that one off. 10 strikeouts for Patrick Corbin through 6 innings, but he trails it 6-2. Sunday by the bay here. Just chilling in McCovey Cove. Giants and Diamondbacks in the 7th inning. Hey fans, Coyotes night is coming up at Chase Field Friday, September 8th. You can get the special event ticket package that includes a lower level baseline reserve seat and a Coyotes baseball, all for only $25. The special event ticket pack available right now online at dbacks.com/coyotes. Hey, got some good news.
Okay. We could use a little good news right about now.
I was thinking that. Coors Field, Cameron Rupp, the Phillies catcher, just hit a double in the 9th inning, and the Phillies have taken a 3-2 lead over the Rockies.
Cameron Rupp's my new favorite player.
Well, that'll help
for now.
Until somebody else is. Yeah, so now it's 3-2 Philadelphia, 9th inning at Colorado. Descalso leads off the 7th against Jeff Samardzija. Both bullpens are getting cranked up. Double barrel action in the San Francisco bullpen. Josh Osich, he said carefully, and Corey Guerin are warming up for the Giants. Jake Barrett getting busy in the D-back pen. There's a deep fly ball to center field. Gorkys Hernandez backing up, and he's got room in the warning track. Allowed out number 1 for Descalso.
That Phillies rally was against Greg Holland, the closer.
Yeah, tough.
Hang with him.
Greg Holland, I don't think, is the lockdown sure thing he was in the first half of the year. Didn't he just hurt himself with a kitchen accident? Was that recently?
Don't know.
He's back. Here's Ketel Marte 0 for 2. Dodgers play the night game tonight at the Mets. Hyunjin Ryu against Steven Matz. Then they'll fly to Phoenix. So LA, that kind of stinks for us. They get the day off tomorrow, right? After that cross country flight, then they can pick things up again on Tuesday at Chase Field. Cubs are coming in here to play the Giants. Maybe we should leave a note for Lenny and JD.
It's been known to happen in the past. When you get away day, leave a note for the guys coming in after you.
Marte knocks it into center, a 1-out single. Base hit for Ketel Marte. That extends his hitting streak. He's now hit safely in 7 straight. Chris Herman. Left-hander Josh Osich has been warming up in the Giant bullpen, but it's Samardzija against Herman here. Corey Guerin warming up for San Francisco as well, the right-hander.
The Giants only have that one left-handed reliever in the bullpen, so Bruce Bochy has to be very judicious when he drops Josh Osich into this ball game.
Nicely done. Pitcher spot up next for the Diamondbacks, and Brandon Drury has come out in the on-deck circle. There's Jake Barrett warming up at the D-back pen. Jake threw 15 pitches in the ball game here last night. Yeah, you really have to come almost to a complete stop when you say Josh Osich.
Yes.
Otherwise, bad things could happen. One and one on the Herminator, who was grounded out, struck out. He's due to pop one sooner or later. He's overdue. Chris Herman, talk about streaky hitters earlier. His home runs tend to come in bunches. Remember, he homered in 3 consecutive games earlier this year. Torey Lovullo liked this matchup, Samardzija versus Herman. You're right. Some offense needs a wake-up call here. Lays off that one outside. A fastball missed, and it's 3-1. Brandon Drury on deck. He will hit for Corbin. He lays off. Another good at bat by Chris Herman. And the Diamondbacks have 2 on 1 out now, and Drury will hit. Third walk issued by Jeff Samardzija. Now at 113 pitches. And that's going to be it. Bruce Bochy making his way out to the mound. He wants Corey Guerin to face Drury. Back from San Francisco after this. 7th inning with 1 out. They have chased Jeff Samardzija from the ball game, but Samardzija here pretty effective. Our Cox high-speed highlights. He went 6 1/3 through a whole bunch of pitches, but gave up just 2 runs on 5 hits.
Gave up a run in the first after the leadoff walk to David Peralta. He scored on the Goldschmidt double, and then in that 4th inning, Diamondbacks had a golden opportunity to put a crooked number up. They were able to score 1, but a great throw to home plate by Parker cut down J.D. Martinez to kill what was a very promising looking rally.
Well, they have a chance to score again here. 2 on, 1 out. New pitcher for the Giants. It's Corey Guerin, the right-hander. We saw him last night. He worked a 1-2 3/8 inning. Got 3 outs on 11 pitches. His 46th appearance of the year. Brandon Drury, the pinch hitter, batting for the pitcher Corbin.
Guerin with a low 3/4 arm angle, heavy sinking fastball, and a hard slider to go with it.
273, 9 homers for Brandon. 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts here Friday night. Slider is in there, and it's 0-1. Ketel Marte is the runner at second, and Chris Herman at first. Brandon Drury 3 for 16 on this road trip. And that long home run at Wrigley Field on Thursday off the scoreboard and left. It went over 440 feet. Could use one of those right now.
Whoa.
Ryan DePanfilo out there to have a look at Brandon Drury.
Sounded like it hit some helmet there. It really spun the helmet off the head of Brandon Drury. Hopefully he just caught it out near the bill.
Well, we saw Brandon Belt get hit in the head, knocked the helmet off here Friday night on a curveball that got away from Anthony Banda. Here's a look at the pitch from Guerin. It looks like it might have hit the brim of the helmet.
Yeah. Once again, a good job of turning away from an inside pitch. Now, it did catch the bill of his helmet that time, but if he turned the other way, he'd have taken that right between the eyes.
And I guarantee you he's negotiating here to stay in the ball game. Pitching change for the Giants back after this. He stays in the game at first base, so the Diamondbacks down 6-2 here with 1 out in the 7th. Have the bases loaded. And on to face David Peralta, the left-hander Josh Osich. A 5.67 ERA, his 37th appearance of the year. Bases full and 1 out. Peralta 0 for 2. He walked and scored to lead off the ball game. Remember last night the Diamondbacks lost by 1, 5-4, left 13 runners on base. Chance to get right back in the game here. Bases full, 1 down. Peralta 303 for the year. He's hitting .270 versus left-hand pitchers this year, including 2 homers. Foul ground, getting near the seats, and it's in the camera well. That seating area over there. 0-2. Gregor Blanco is due up next, the center fielder, a left-hand batter, but A.J. Pollock is in the on-deck circle. He would hit for Blanco against the lefty Osich. Albert Suarez, the right-hander, is warming up in the Giant bullpen. Oh, and 2 to Peralta. That's a fair ball. Posey has it at first. Ketel Marte comes in. The out is made, and it's a 6-3 ball game. And Pollock is announced as the hitter for Blanco. AJ hitting .290 with 5 homers, and here comes Bruce Bochy very slowly. He's going to go with his right-hander. We'll take a break. Back after this. Game here in the 7th inning, threatening more. 2 on and 2 outs. And the new pitcher for the Giants, the right-hander Albert Suarez, who missed a whole bunch of time this year with a calf injury, only his 5th appearance of the year, just brought back up from AAA Sacramento at the end of July. He will face the pinch hitter A.J. Pollock. Chris Harmon is at third base. Brandon Drury is at second. A single here can make it a 1-run ball game. AJ .290 on the year. He's 1 for 9 in the series, and a single Friday night. Two on and 2 out. Diamondbacks 2 for 7 today with runners in scoring position. Big slow breaking ball drops in there, and it's 1-1. That Rockies game has gone to the bottom of the 9th inning at Coors Field. The Phillies lead Colorado 3-2. Now a final. They just made the final out. There it is. So the Rockies, after Cameron Rupp had a big hit in the 9th inning, end up losing that game 3-2. Now a final. Philadelphia wins in Denver. So as of this moment, Colorado and Arizona tied for that first wild card spot in the National League. Dodgers play later tonight against the Mets in New York. Then LA is in for 3 at Chase Field starting on Tuesday. dbacks.com for your tickets. Zach Godley Tuesday against Kenta Maeda. 2-2 to A.J. Pollock. Nice backhand scoop there by Hundley. And it's full 3-2.
Catching instructors like to see the guy get out there in front of the ball, but when a guy pulls a breaking ball that far to your right, you just try to stop it any way you can. That was a nice backhanded pick by Nick Hundley that time.
Here's a moment to win. Lamb is on deck. 2 on, 2 out, 3-2 to Pollock. Third base for Ryder Jones. D-backs strand 2, but they get 1. We stretch in San Francisco. It's a 6-3 Giant lead.
The game got 2 key outs last night for the Diamondbacks. He has 11 straight scoreless appearances. Troy Lovullo, talking about Jake before today's game, said, you know, he's really been versatile. He can trust him in a lot of situations, and he has earned his trust. So one thing that's nice for Torrey is he's had to shuffle a lot in the bullpen with some injuries, but he can put in Jake in a number of situations. That fastball has been good, and for Jake, the big key for him is he just has to be ready.
Yeah, Jody, that's been a revolving door, really, for Torrey Lovullo. That matchup right-hander in the middle innings somewhere. I mean, they started out with a bartender, Tom Wilhelmsen, early this season. J.J. Hoover was one of those guys in the middle portion of the year, and he had some struggles. But since he's been back, Jake Barrett's been terrific.
He really has been. Fastball slider combination has pitched very aggressively. He's got a string of 4 right-handed hitters in a row here, and Tomlinson, Posey, Pence, and Hundley.
Yeah, Jake Barrett threw 15 pitches in the ball game last night. So he's out there to start the bottom of the 7th in a 6-3 ball game. A.J. Pollock, who came on to pinch hit for Gregor Blanco, grounded out to third, stays in the game, takes over in center field. Kelby Tomlinson, Buster Posey, Hunter Pence to up here in the Giants' 7th, 2, 3, and 4 for San Francisco. Rockies have already lost. Phillies beat them at Coors Field 3-2. Diamondbacks trying to come back and get a series win here, finish up 6-4 on this road trip, but they're down 3 in the 7th. Tomlinson's 0 for 2, but he's been productive lately. 5 hits in his last 12 at bats. Barrett on in relief of Patrick Corbin. Patrick went 6 innings today. Gave up 6 runs, only 3 were earned. He had 2 errors behind him, both led to runs. Walked 2, both intentional, had 10 strikeouts. And gave up a home run. Tomlinson shoots that one down the right field line, but it's foul. Corbin threw 6 innings, 108 pitches, 66 for strikes. Samardzija winds up going 6 1/3 for the Giants. 3 runs all earned on 5 hits. He walked 3, struck out 3. Seven hits so far for the Giants, 5 for the Diamondbacks. This is popped up, second base for Descalso. Not a cloud in the sky up there. It's in that wind, but he's got it for the first out. Wind is really howling out to right field right now as Posey steps in.
Those flags aren't sure which direction they want to go.
They keep switching around.
I've told the story before about Old Candlestick Park. They had 3 flags in center field. The American flag was in the middle, the state flag of California on one side, and the city flag of San Francisco on the other. And there was a shot in the San Francisco Chronicle. The 2 flags on the side were blowing in opposite directions, and the United States flag was blowing straight out.
Yeah, we drive by the Old Candlestick Park site every time we go to the airport here. You can still see it on the edge of the water. I know you always tear up when we drive by.
Yep.
Very emotional. In a way.
Well, it was my first park in the major leagues. And I remember when I was even a minor leaguer living down in Fresno, California, coming up here at the end of the season after our minor league season had ended and catching a couple of games at Candlestick and going down in the clubhouse. Man, it was the Taj Mahal as far as I was concerned. Then I saw some other ballparks.
I was going to say perspective is often an interesting thing. 2-1 on Buster Posey. Posey's been walked twice today, both times intentionally. He's also stolen 2 bases. Well, he walks for the 3rd time today. 1 out base runner for Hunter Pence. Pence had a 2-run single in the 3rd. He's 1 for 3. Now with an 8-game hitting streak. We were talking about big money giant contracts and guys who could get moved or couldn't because of the money. Pence got a 5-year $90 million deal, but this is year number 4, so next year might be it for him in San Francisco. He's 34 years old. He'll be 35 next April. Barrett ahead quickly, 0-2. Pence's 5th full season as a Giant. He's really had some injury problems last couple of years. Pence had right hamstring problems last season. That put him on the DL. At the beginning of June, he needed surgery, in fact, on that hamstring. He missed about 50 games. A couple of seasons ago, he was hit by a pitch in spring training. Played in barely 50 games. And he bounces this one into right field. Hunter Pence, his 2nd hit today, and his 5th in the series. Nick Hundley, a big hit in the 5th inning, a 2-run single. He's 1 for 3. Buster Posey at second, Hunter Pence at first with 1 out. Interesting note we found in the media notes about Nick Hundley. He's a University of Arizona graduate.
No kidding.
Yeah. I almost feel like that's the requisite joke that we do every time Nick Hundley appears.
Well, everybody that went to U of A, we do mention it.
Fastball in, it's 2-0. Nick Hundley grew up the son of a college football coach. He went to 4 elementary schools and 4 different high schools growing up. Can you imagine that? He lived in Boulder, Colorado for a time when his dad Tim was the defensive line coach at Colorado in the 90s. Tim Hundley coached at Oregon State, Washington, UCLA, UNLV. He really moved his family around. And Nick's moved around a bit lately. Padres, Orioles, Rockies, now the Giants. Jorge De La Rosa was warming up earlier in the ball game. He'll walk out there again now. Diamondbacks bullpen will really welcome that day off tomorrow. Been a long trip for those guys. Two and two. D-backs in the 8th inning. We'll have the heart of the order due up. Lamb, Goldie, Martinez, 3, 4, and 5. No one warming up in the Giant pen. Their long man came on to finish off the 7th inning. Suarez, the right-hander, so he figures to be the pitcher. Two and two on Nick Hundley. This is belted to left. Peralta's there. And Posey has to hurry back to the bag at second. David did a good job to get that back in there quickly. Well, here's Miguel Gomez, who's had a pretty good day, the rookie second baseman. 2 for 3, a pair of singles. He scored a run. Switch hitter, batting left-handed against Jake Berry. This is a guy who was playing A ball last year. Was in Double-A this year when he got called up not too long ago. Two on and two out. In the air, deep right field. Martinez drifting onto the warning track, and he's got it. Jake Barrett strands two. He keeps it a 6-3 ball game. Lamb, Goldie, Martinez, 2 up in the 8th. Cool, comfortable day here in San Francisco. Steve Berthew, Bob Brenly, and Jody Jackson with you. D-backs trail the Giants in this series and road trip finale. A reminder, fans, now's the best time to become a D-backs season ticket holder. Season tickets for 2018 on sale right now. And our season ticket holders enjoy exclusive benefits, flexible payment options, and a plan that's just right for them. You can design your own plan. Buy now and you'll guarantee postseason priority. Buy or renew online 2018 D-backs season tickets. All the infos at dbacks.com/advantage. Running out of time here, 8th inning. The heads of state of the order coming up here. Lamb, Goldie, Martinez, 3, 4, and 5 against Albert Suarez, the right-hander. Jake today has single, walk, scored a run. He's 1 for 2. Giants 6 runs, 8 hits. They've left 6 on base. Diamondbacks 3 runs, 5 hits. They've left 5. Also committed 2 errors, both of which led to Giant runs. That's a fair ball. Little dribble at her first. Suarez gets over there. They retire Lamb to start the 8th. Suarez is used to giving Bruce Bochy an inning or two. He's worked 7 1/3 in his last 4 appearances. Our Chaz Roberts air conditioning and plumbing cool play of the game. A 2-out RBI double by Goldie in the first. Diamondbacks had a 1-0 lead at that point, but now trail at 6-3. Goldie on the road trip, 4 home runs and 14 RBIs in 10 games, counting today.
And you notice Goldie not choked up nearly as much on the bat till he gets to 2 strikes. Bottom hand actually touching that knob early in the count. But if he gets to a 2-strike count, watch how much farther up the bat handle he will go.
Lays off a breaking ball, and it's 2-1. Goldie 5 hits and 4 runs batted in the series. Need to get something going right here. Fastball's a strike, and it's 2-2.
This is where he usually chokes up a little bit more on that bat handle. Yeah, just ever so slightly gets up off the knob.
It's full. Martinez on deck. Just a little bit there. High in the air, center field. Hernandez and Pence over there. Ooh. Hunter Pence. That's right where J.D. Martinez hit one yesterday that dropped in between Pence and Denard Span under a cloudy sky.
Yeah, you see Hernandez calling for it, but Pence is taller.
I guess that matters. Aren't you supposed to yield to the center fielder there?
Yeah, usually that's the case.
J.D. Martinez singled in the 4th. Swirling winds out there right now. It is changing direction every 10 seconds, it seems like. Goldie hit it high up into that wind a moment ago. Look at that wind howling now. It was just blowing out about 20 seconds ago. Now it's blowing in. D-backs in the series opener here Friday. 2 runs on 6 hits. That was enough to get a win. Got some offense last night. 4 runs, 10 hits. But so far today, just 3 runs on 5 base hits. And Martinez strikes out. Suarez goes right through the heart of the order in the 8th inning. It stays 6-3. Go 6-3, bottom 8 now. Diamondbacks had a 1-0 lead after 1 inning, but the Giants got 2 in the second, 2 in the third, and 2 in the fifth. Jared Parker a 2-run homer, Hunter Pence a 2-run single, Nick Hundley a 2-run single. Jorge De La Rosa answering the Ashline call to the bullpen. On here to face Parker, whose home run in the second was his first of the year. D-backs have put 3 defenders on the right side of the infield. Rolled right into the shift. Descalso from the edge of the outfield grass throws him out. Well, we got to say, Bob, Albert Suarez, for kind of a journeyman right-hander bullpen type guy, just mowed right through the 3, 4, and 5 hitters there in the top half of this inning.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been that easy. Jake Lamb with a soft ground ball to first base, Goldie with a fly ball to right, and then J.D. Martinez struck out.
Ryder Jones has struck out 3 times. D-backs in the 9th will have Descalso, Marte, and Herman do up 6, 7, and 8. There is no one warming up at the Giant bullpen right now. Suarez is the long man out there. He's retired all 4 he's faced so far. And he's coming out to hit. He's in the on-deck circle. Albert Suarez. He's a right-hander.
Big right-hander.
Ryder Jones hasn't had a whole lot of luck in the big league so far. 3 for 35 without an extra base hit this year. Trying to avoid striking out for the 4th time at 4 at-bats today. 2nd-round pick by the Giants 4 years ago out of high school in Boone, North Carolina. Ryder Jones. Full count, 3-2. The pitcher on deck.
Seems so out of character for Bruce Bochy to let a relief pitcher hit for himself this late in the ball game.
Well, yeah.
Bochy is one of those guys that'll run through an entire bullpen playing matchups in 1 inning.
Well, he's the king of the postseason matchup mode. And stays fair at first base. De La Rosa a little late getting over the bag, so Goldie takes it himself. I guess the pitchers are just used to him always taking those by himself.
And the Diamondbacks will have 6 games remaining in the month of September with the Giants. 3 at Chase Field, 3 here at AT&T with the expanded rosters and the 30-man bullpen.
Oh, I can't believe they didn't fix that in the new collective bargaining agreement. Everybody, it seems, is in chorus with that. That's got to get fixed. Play 5 months under one set of rules, and then the most important month under a different set of rules. But one thing at a time. We got the no pitch intentional walk done. Last at bat for Suarez was September of 2016. Had a double at San Diego. This is a ground ball to shortstop, and that's a 1-2-3/8 inning for Jorge De La Rosa. We hit the 9th in San Francisco. Diamondbacks need at least 3 here.
Started out to be a promising series here against the Giants when the Diamondbacks won the opener here Friday night 2-1, but a 5-4 come from behind Giant win last night put a damper on things, and now the Diamondbacks will have to come from a 6-3 deficit back to try and at least tie it here in the 9th inning. Descalso, Marte, Herman due up 6, 7, and 8 against right-hander Albert Suarez. Although Bruce Bochy hedging his bets just a little bit, Sam Dyson has walked out of the Giant bullpen and started warming up. He threw 23 pitches in the game last night, and he also pitched in Friday's game. He worked the 1-2-3-9. So there's Dyson just in case Suarez gets in trouble, but Suarez, who came on to get the final out of the 7th inning, then pitched a 1-2-3-8, so he set down all 4 he's faced. So Dyson is standing by. Descalso leads it off. Daniel had an RBI single in the 4th inning, 1 for 3 today. 4 for 25 on the road trip. Diamondbacks just 3 runs on 5 hits.
How'd you hold that one? Breaking ball slipped out of the hand of Suarez, way wide that time.
Boy, sometimes people's faces when they catch a foul ball just priceless. This is lifted along the left field line. Foul ground for Parker, but it's in the seats. Like that. Nice catch there.
Need a runner. Find a way on there, Daniel. Well, that's frustrating for a pitcher and a catcher when a guy, you throw that backdoor breaking ball. Looks like it might be a called strike, too close to take, and Daniel just flips it foul down the third baseline, force you to throw another pitch.
Descalso's been doing that all year long since the first day. And lays off that one outside, and he's back even 2-2. One of the things Torey Lovullo has talked about with Descalso all year long, he knows what's expected in every situation right now. Just trying to get on base. Checks his swing, and he's worked it full. Ketel Marte on deck. Chris Herman due up after that. It's the 3-2 to first. Posey smothers it. Suarez gets over there and finds the bag. Buster Posey's had a really good day defensively at first base today.
That ball looked like it was going to sneak through into right field, and Posey, good first step, crossover, smothers that ball. Suarez got off the mound quickly, turns it into an easy out.
Diamondbacks have had only 1 base hit since the 4th inning, and that was Ketel Marte's 1-out single in the 7th. He's 1 for 3. Ryder Jones in a couple of steps at third on the grass. Now he'll back off even with a bag. It's 0-1. Cody Jackson standing by. D-backs live postgame show follows our ball game.
Jody will be inside the clubhouse, get a reaction. Torey Lovello, you hear from some of the players. And then we finally get to go home. Day off tomorrow, long homestand. And a tough homestand starts Tuesday, 3 against the Dodgers. And 3 against the Cubs next weekend, 2 against the Houston Astros. Up the middle and into center. Ketel Marte's aboard his second hit today. Chris Herman. Pitcher spot is behind the Herminator. Chris Iannetta has come out in the on-deck circle. Chris had a really good at bat his last time up. He walked in the 7th. 0 for 2. Just in case, Archie Bradley will mosey on down to the bullpen and start to get loose. Fernando Rodney got save number 25 here in Friday's series opener, his 3rd consecutive save in 3 games, so he must be down for this ball game. Archie's going to wait a bit before he throws. No reason to get hot before you have to. Down there with Mike Fetters.
I would imagine if the Diamondbacks get another base runner, bringing the potential tying run to the plate, you'll see Archie begin to crank it up in earnest then.
Tied him up inside, but a strike, says Brian O'Nora.
That wind blowing the right direction for Chris Herman, straight out to right field right now.
Get it up in that wind. 2-2. D-backs lead the season series with the Giants so far 5-4, but they've won only twice in 5 games here at AT&T Park. 2-2 on the Herminator. Chris Iannetta ready to hit in the pitcher spot. Got him. Well, Iannetta's had some late game magic before this year. He'll hit for the pitcher, Jorge De La Rosa. 225, 8 homers. Chris started Friday's game behind the plate, 0 for 4. He struck out 3 times. Chris Iannetta played in Colorado for a while, so he's seen plenty of AT&T Park. He's done really well here. 31 games, better than a .330 batting average in this ballpark with 5 homers. Breaking ball buckled him that time, and it's 1-1.
That's the old American Legion pitch sequence. Throw a fastball up and in, and then come right back with a big loopy breaking ball that starts in the same location and drops down into the strike zone.
Get those jelly legs. There's another one. Diamondbacks down to the last strike here. Giants been a tough season, last place in the National League West, but trying to take 2 of 3 from the D-backs. And Iannetta shoots it right at Archie Bradley in the bullpen and foul.
D-backs drop 2 of 3 here in San Francisco. Giants win it 6-3. Jared Parker got it started. Now, 2-run homer in the second inning gave the Giants a 2-1 lead, and they never looked back. They got 2 in the second, 2 in the third, and 2 in the fifth inning. And so the D-backs finish up this long 10-game 3-city road trip with a record of 5-5. And they have gone now 13-20 in their last 33 games.
Yeah, hopefully the off day tomorrow will serve the D-backs well. Let everybody kind of rest and recharge their batteries, refocus mentally, and get back after it. Big homestand coming up.
We'll take a break from AT&T Park in San Francisco. More on the way. D-backs drop the last 2 games of this series. 6-3 the final today.